Hey guys, how you doing? Just thought I'd give a quick update on the Twitch save that I'm doing at the moment with Pro Vercelli. So coming into our 11th season now, we were hoping that we could, push on like we did a couple of seasons before, getting the League and Cup double. Hopefully we could try and push on something like that again. So we went into this season with pretty high hopes and a lot of ins and outs. So we sold £130 million worth of players, which was majority on Ivan Aketse, who left to go to Arsenal on his release, which was his release clause, which I was very disappointed with, as he was kind of the perfect sweeper keeper for us, even though he didn't have the tendency to rush out and his first touch wasn't the best. His vision and his kicking, and also it's just his one-on-ones, his reflexes meant that he was really good when we did have that issue of players getting behind us. Rob Verheyen also left for £80 million. Now this might have seemed at the time like a bit of a silly transfer for us to make. He was an absolutely fantastic player for us and always performed well. However, we had him on the left wing in that finals in the last season, so I thought maybe we can afford to get rid of him. We've got Maldini, and maybe if we bring in someone else, we don't really need him. And when Wolves came in with an £80 million offer, I couldn't say no. Even though I do miss him, he's out the door. So on top of that, there was a couple of other transfers. Veljovic finally left the club after a long time here. Christian Castellano also went to Brighton and Hove Albion. But other than that, nothing massive on the outs. So for the ins, I will start with the man who replaced Ivan Aketse, who was Manuel Gasparini. So Arsenal bought Aketse for £33.5 million, yet had this guy on the transfer list for 15.75, which, in hindsight, I think was one of the most silly moves Arsenal have done, and you could definitely count a lot of them in the past few decades. So this guy only conceded 19 goals and got 24 clean sheets, which I believe, not in the league, but I know overall he got 32, which was a record. So he played absolutely fantastically for us in this season, really pushed on very well. And if I sort the rest by date, so you can have a proper look at how these, when these guys came in. So we also brought in Silvian Dinka, who is a young Romanian from Steaua Bucharest, who at his age, considering he's a goalkeeper and he can develop a lot further, looks to be an absolutely fantastic sweeper keeper. I definitely see shades of a sort of Manuel Neuer in him with his eccentricity, his rushing out tendency, and also his reflexes. His vision's good. His acceleration's not the best, but I think we should be able to get by without that being a big problem. So he's someone who definitely look forward to for the future, not right away. On top of this, we brought in a replacement for Michelotti, who will be pushed back to a backup now. So we signed Ariel Alana on a free transfer from Porto. I was chasing this guy for the majority of the last 6 months of the season, and he was one of them that just said, we'll do it later. And eventually we managed to get him in. On top of that, we also brought in Christopher Persson-Jonsson, another left-back from Malmo. Very excited about this guy. Young Swedish talent with incredible work rate, good stamina, decent turn of pace on him, and he's also very good technically, which is a bit of a difficulty to find with these complete wing-backs. A lot of the time they have a couple of issues here or there, whereas this guy, if you put him as a complete wing-back, he's got everything except the flair, which is not a problem for me because I play standard wing-backs and I don't want my wing-backs to be too mental, so I'm more than happy with that. We'll skip over this guy because I want to talk about him last. And if we go through a couple of these, so these two guys we will see in the streams soon, hopefully. So we have Mateusz Rankic, who is another left-back who had a release, I believe it was a release clause or something along the lines. So 7.2, no, it wouldn't have been. He was just, a good player, didn't want that much money, so 7.25, rising to potentially 13. Loaned back for the season to Belgrano and did relatively well, but a very, very good talent, and even though he's non-EU, he should potentially be enough to register. I may also be getting rid of a couple of non-EUs, so if he doesn't, we could always get rid of him, still make a massive profit on the guy, but I think I'll keep him in. He looks very good. The second future signing I made was Lucas Brezuela. I think I'm saying that one right. A young Argentinian centre-half who, for a ball player looks incredibly good. I mean, his mental stats are fantastic. He's fast. He's got decent jumping reach despite only being 5'10". Good header of the ball. First touch could do with a bit of an improvement, but all of his other stats are just absolutely incredible. And I really like the look of that guy. And if he develops as he should, then, potentially he's got a very good career ahead of him, and he performed very well for River Plate in that first season. So, in the season on loan. So a couple of other players we signed. We signed Abdul Teta, who is a young lad from Germany. We chased this guy for a lot of the summer window, and did I sign him in the summer or was it in the January window? It was in the summer. So we chased this guy for quite a while. They were after a ridiculous amount of money. I'm talking like 40, 45 million. But after a little bit of talking in the media, making a couple of offers that were quite low, he started to get a bit annoyed at at Stuttgart, and they went for it. They decided to let him go for a measly 5.25 million. And the guy might never become absolutely insane, but if you look at him now, he looks very, very good. He can play as a Mazzala, so he can play in the role that we set for him. We are training him there at the moment. Ooh, that's advanced playmaker. He can play as a Mazzala. He'd probably be more of a Mazzala attack, so he doesn't have to revolve around the tackling, and he can use his flair a bit better. I think that is sort of a position I want to take a look at in the future, because I feel like we do struggle with the lone striker. So definitely one to look out for. We also signed Thomas Podominski, an 18-year-old Czech Republic player. He'll be in and around the first team in the next few years, but he won't be there straight away. He did play in Serie B for Calcio Catania. Not a massive amount of minutes, but he's one to look out for. The next few years, we could see this a kind of angry-looking guy. I'm not going to lie. He does look like he's a bit of a nutcase. So on top of that, we also signed Tomislav Popovic, who is a central defender from Zagreb, from Croatia. Another young player that looks very good, if you ask me, and I believe we're also getting a couple of clubs who want to loan him. He was loaned to Hajduk Split, and he did alright, but he's back here with us now, and we'll probably loan him out to an Italian team, I think. On top of this, we signed Alfonso Ruiz, who's a player that I really liked the look of, and even though his scout reports don't say he's that great, you look at this guy, 16 heading, 13 marking, 17 tackling, 13 positioning, all these stats here other than anticipation are all good. Everything's in really good stature here for this guy. And I thought for 2.3 million, that is an incredible piece of business. I think he'll be a really, really good player. Only time will tell, of course, but the driven personality makes me think he could do very, very well. And, he's been doing well over the season, hasn't played a load of minutes, but he's been getting there. And Luis Sinisterra is the final one, who I believe was a January signing. He was. So he was a January signing that I brought in to fill in the hole at right wing and left wing. He could play both positions, but he was mostly a right wing fill-in because we don't really have that much depth in the right wing position. Obviously we have Maldini, but he plays on the other wing. We have Torres and we have Jose Manuel. That was pretty much it. So at the time we only had two players. I thought we'll bring in a third, bit of experience. And he didn't mind being the second man. Now, this is the big one. So, Brahim Zemama is a record transfer for Pro Vercelli. So the cost of 40 million to start off with, plus a potential add-ons of 29 million, meant that this guy is definitely someone who you'd think I would want right away. And you are correct. This guy is one of the best players I've ever seen on Football Manager. Ever. At such a young age, he'd played so many matches for Lorient. He played for the B team for one season before playing almost 2 full seasons for the first team. And my God, is he a good player. He is absolutely fantastic. He's fairly determined. In training, he's always doing well. He's already got 15 caps for Morocco at the age of 18. And I tried to sort of not play him too much, but in the end, he just played so well. He was just always in and around the first team. As you can see there, he got an average rating of 7.08, and all 5 of his goals, from what I can recall, one may not have been, but the vast majority of his goals are cracking efforts from outside the box. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on in the future, as well as now. So heading into the fixtures, so it didn't start off the best. We won against Parma, and then we had a couple of bad defeats against Atalanta at home and Bologna away. So that was a bit of a concern, and Benevento in between a loss to Schalke probably didn't make me feel any better. But then we really started to score some goals. We smashed Empoli, smashed Roma, got a win against Rangers, beat Sampdoria. We were narrowly defeated by a Milan side who is probably the best side in the division at this point. They bottled a league title a couple of years previous, but they are a fantastic, fantastic side. And they were definitely one to look out for this season. We beat Tottenham 1-0, which I was very, very impressed with, because I knew we'd have to get a result against one of them or Schalke, and was already being beat by Schalke at home. Granted, with a tough 90th minute loss, I feel like we needed to beat Tottenham. So we got that win over them in the end, very happy with that. And then we went and ruined it by getting beaten by Juventus, who at this point were actually sitting around mid-table. Juventus haven't been doing very well under Thierry Henry, and as you can see here, they actually got rid of him in the end, which is not a surprise because they have played very, very poorly under his management. But they got the win against me, and I was a bit concerned, but then we managed a 3-2 win against Spal in a bit of a back and forth match, but we managed to get the win in the end. And then we got beat by Tottenham 1-0 away. So I thought, you know what, 1-0 win at home, 1-0 win away. 1-0 win at home, 1-0 loss away. That's not too bad, but I now do really need to get a result against Schalke. Drew to Trapani, beat Napoli, so we're sort of getting along there in the league. And then we were defeated 1-0 by Schalke. So at that point, we had to beat Rangers, and in between we had a couple of good wins. We got a decent bit of form in the league going. We did beat Rangers 3-0. However, annoyingly, it was not enough. So, Group E ended with us finishing third. 1 goal behind Tottenham. And because we beat each other 1-0, it was equal on the head-to-head. If we scored one more goal, I don't know what it would have actually gone to. Sorting rules is always one I struggle to find. Group stage, goal difference, goals scored, away goals scored. I'm not sure what that would have gone down to. I feel like, based on the fact that... I'm not actually sure though. So if you go on the goals scored, it doesn't say, it just says against Rangers, blah blah blah. I think Tottenham might have just pipped us on that. But if you think about it, we just got a 5-0 win instead of a 3-0 win. We'd have gone through. Which is where it's extremely frustrating, especially when, maybe, could you argue we could have got more than 2 against them at the Ibrox? Probably, but it didn't happen. But getting knocked out of the Champions League in third meant we went into the Europa League, but we also had a decent tick of form in Serie A, getting through teams like Genoa, Torino, Inter. We got to the Coppa Italia quarter-final and ended up facing Milan. The semi-final, and ended up playing Milan. A couple of disappointing draws there, but considering we got beat by Atalanta last time, I was happy to get the draw. And then the results came flying in. We had a lot of fixtures to play, but we managed to do quite well with most of them. We won the Coppa Italia semi-final first leg, and then won the second leg over a month later, which meant we went through 2-0. And we went to the Coppa Italia final to face one of our final rivals, in kind of a weird way to say, but one of our final rivals we always get beat by in a final, Inter Milan. And on top of that, we also did some quite well in the league and the Europa League. We got through against Lokomotiv Moscow and then faced another Russian team in Zenit St. Petersburg. So we won 2-0 in the first leg, and in the away leg at half-time it was 0-0. So I thought, you know what, we'll make a couple of changes, nothing too much to worry about, and then they scored 3 times in 14 minutes. And at that point I had to go all-out attack, but it just wasn't enough, and we were out. It was a really disappointing game for us, and I was so annoyed at the team for that. But, we came back, and we did win the Coppa Italia semi-final second leg, but then after that, the disappointing results started coming in. Draws to Trapani, defeat to Cremonese, defeat to Lazio, draw at home to Fiorentina, draw at home to Genoa, drawing away at Inter, and then getting beat by them in the Coppa Italia final. We did manage to get a couple of wins towards the end, but it didn't matter. And Milan pipped us to the top of the table by only 2 points. So if you think, if we beat Cremonese instead of getting beat by them, or if we got a couple of wins instead of draws, that'd have been enough. In fact, a win instead of a draw may have actually put us ahead of them on results between the sides. So definitely a disappointing league season and a disappointing European campaign, but getting to the Coppa Italia final, challenging for the league again was very nice. And like I say, some of the transfers actually ended up looking very good. So really happy with that. Very happy with Gasparini. Very happy with Zemema, obviously. And you know what? We didn't suffer too much from getting rid of these two. I do feel like if Verheyen was in the team, we might have had a couple of more goals towards that tail end of the season. We wouldn't have been as tired. But, that's has-beens, bygones. We can't talk about that anymore. So, I'm hoping to stream every weekend at some point. We haven't really done much so far. It's only just started. We've grabbed a couple of players on a free. Matthias Fritz, a young German, and Ash Connolly from Liverpool, a young English lad with Irish second nationality. We've finally gotten rid of Tom Crouch, as he's not really in the team anymore. But other than that, we've not really done a lot. So that's the update for Season 11. Hope you can join me on Twitch. I'll put the link in the description, but it's twitch.tv/Nathan_K1996. I'll hope to see you there sometime, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.